What's good guys, and welcome back to the channel. It is time for one of my favorite videos that I do, and that is when I count down the top sneakers of the year. I'm going to be counting down 20 sneakers in this video, and let me just say that this year there was definitely no clear-cut number one or even a clear-cut top 5. Those very hyped standout sneakers that we've gotten in previous years, well, we didn't seem to have any this year, so it made putting together this list a bit more difficult but also a bit more interesting. Now first, before we get into the list, I gotta give you one basic rule I have for this that I've done every single year. I don't include retros on this list. I'll only include them if they change something about it, like the design or the colorway or even the materials, then okay, I'll consider it. But if it's just a plain retro, then you won't see it. So a lot of sneakers, for example, like the Wu-Tang Dunks, the Spiridons, the Military Blue 4s, or even the Pata Air Max 1s, all of them great shoes, but you won't be seeing them on my list. And that's a rule that I've had pretty much every time I've done one of these videos. So with that being said, let's get into it. Starting off at number 20, it's the collab between Nike and Bodhi on the Astro Grabber. These released pretty early on in the year, so I feel like most people kind of forgot about them, but I didn't. I thought these were super clean, and that natural colorway on that shoe, I thought it fit really well into that vintage type of aesthetic that Bodhi has. And also because today's sneaker trends, people seem to prefer much more slimmed down, toned down type of sneakers, I thought that the Astro Grabber was a perfect choice for this collab, and I'm kind of surprised that Nike didn't put out more regular general release colorways of that shoe. At number 19, I got both of the colorways of the Cactus Plant Flea Market Air Force 1s. I really like the two that dropped this year, the Pink Fuchsia and also that Moss Green. And I feel like these pairs almost got no attention. They kind of just came and went. I've been a fan of the Cactus Plant Air Force 1s, even though I don't actually own any. They've always kind of been out of my price range. But that green one in particular might be my favorite one to release so far. I think it just looks sick on that model. At number 18, it's a shoe that you won't see on anyone else's list, but it is my list. So I have the Air Max 95 Toronto. I thought it was amazing that my home city of Toronto actually got a really nice sneaker collab, and I love all the little Toronto details on the shoe, like the CN Tower on the back. And just from a looks point of view, I just think this is a very clean looking Air Max 95. The combination of those colors, that gradient finish from red to blue, looked really good on this, and it's a shoe that whenever I'm feeling kind of homesick, I always just want to wear them. So yeah, it does have some personal value to me. I have these at number 18. At number 17, it is my favorite Jordan retro of 2024, and that is the Jordan 4 Bred Reimagined. Now I know I said at the top of the video that I don't count retros on this list, but I did say unless they change something about it, and they really did change the shoe. They completely changed the materials on the upper. They got rid of the nubuck and they replaced it with this very nice soft black leather, and in my opinion it made this shoe way better. The quality on these 4s are really good. They felt great as soon as you put them on feet, as if they were already worn in, unlike the military 4s, which were pretty painful on the first few wears. And also this is just simply one of my favorite colorways of the Jordan 4, and I think it just looks so much better in this leather, man. Like, Jordan Brand absolutely killed it. These should have been how the OGs looked. Moving on to number 16. So I think it has been an amazing year for general release New Balances. I feel like I could have made a top 20 just talking about those alone. But one of the best ones to drop was the 991 V2 in the blue and silver colorway. I don't think we have ever seen a 991 V2 look this good. It was a better looking colorway than I think any collab on that model so far. A colorway that reminded me of something we would see on a Yeezy. It was also very quick to sell out, which showed just how much people love these. I wanted to have at least one 991 V2 on this list. I debated between these and the Persimmons, which I also think looked sick, but in the end it was this blue and silver one that took the prize. Moving on to number 15. So it seems like Nike's strategy this year was to dig deep into its archive and bring back some relatively unknown models, but one that I thought was really awesome was the Air Max Sunder. I thought that shoe looked great in a lot of different colorways, but the one that really stood out to me was the recent Burgundy Crush and Baltic Blue colorway. The blue to burgundy gradient finish on that shoe just looks amazing. It looks amazing on feet. I remember walking in Seoul, South Korea into a sneaker shop there, and there were so many sneakers on the wall, but the one that immediately caught my attention, the one that drew my eye immediately, was this shoe. It stood out as the best looking shoe, and having this shoe in hand, yeah, this is just a beautiful pair and super underrated. Moving on to number 14, probably the best Jordan collaborator this year has got to be Ama Manier. They had a really solid year, lots of good drops. I thought that the best one was the Jordan 3, and I'm truly surprised that these were actually going for below retail on the secondary market. I mean, just 3 years ago, everyone was talking about how the white pair was the sneaker of the year, and now the black ones go for below retail. I feel like the sneaker community simply got this one wrong because the quality on this pair was amazing. It's a really nice colorway as well, and to me it stood out from the black cements that dropped later on in the year. It had that nice quilted lining, that burgundy lining, which we come to expect with a lot of the A Ma Maniére collabs. And I can't believe I'm saying this as someone who doesn't even really wear 3s, but I thought that the Jordan 3 A Ma Maniére was just simply the most slept on Jordan this year. I like them even much more than the 4s, if I'm being honest. Let me know down in the comments, what do you guys think? Moving on to number 13. Now, it is the 3rd year in a row that we are talking about this collaborator on this list, and yes, I'm talking about Wales Bonner. I got the Wales Bonner Superstars at number 13 in that crocodile leather. She did an amazing job with these. It looks like a high-end luxury collab. You could have called these the Gucci Superstars or the Prada Superstars and I would have believed you. The crocodile leather, the white and navy combination was sick. It's one of those shoes that looks great on feet. It's surprisingly easy to wear because of the very clean colorway. And it's one of those if you know type of shoes. I love shoes like that, and I thought these were just amazing. And at number 12, it's the other Wales Bonner crocodile leather pair. Yes, it is the navy Samba. And this is one of those that, you know, honestly, I don't even need to talk about them. Just look at them. They are absolutely gorgeous. I just love how this Wales Bonner Adidas partnership continuously evolves over time with different material choices. She is doing magic with those Sambas, and I thought this was just simply some of her best work. At number 11, I'm gonna name 2 shoes here. Both of them are a collab between Action Bronson and New Balance on the 1906R. You could include either this Medusa Azul colorway or the Rosewater pair that dropped earlier. Both of them were very Action Bronson-like, where he throws a bunch of super random colorways that you would never think go together, but they somehow work. Personal preference, I did prefer the Medusa Azuls better just because I like the blues on them. But Action Bronson really has solidified himself as one of the best collaborators now on New Balance, because last year I had this pair, the 990 V6, as my shoe of the year. And for the 2nd year in a row, he has appeared on the list. So let's see what he brings out in 2025. At number 10 is easily one of the most slept on shoes of the year. That is the Clot Adidas Gazelle. Let's talk about Edison Chen's journey with Adidas for a moment, because it needs to be studied. It's been pretty amazing what he's been able to do since making the switch over from Nike. I could have put any of those Clot collabs on the list this year. Those Superstars were great as well, but the standout for me had to be these Gazelles. What an interesting concept, taking the bottom from an espadrille, combining it with a sneaker. And this shoe, once you get them in hand, it feels like it was just handmade for you. The Adidas stripes were done with these beads, these individual beads, which were apparently hand sewn into the shoe. This is just the perfect summertime sneaker. You want to be somewhere in the south of Europe wearing these with some no-show socks, with some shorts, sipping on a glass of Prosecco, because that is exactly what I was doing last summer in these. At number 9, we got to talk about what was easily the best SB Dunk of the year for me. That was the Futura SB Dunks. I know that the SB Dunk hype has definitely died down a lot over the last couple of years, but that doesn't mean that there aren't any good shoes being released. This one was definitely the standout. The one reason why I don't have these higher on the list is because I've seen this shoe in person and it really looks like an artwork. It looks like a piece of art that you want to appreciate. And I've also seen them on feet, and for some reason on feet they don't really impress me as much as when I see them in hand, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it is a good looking pair of SB Dunks. Let's move on to number 8. So if there was a prize for the collaborator of the year, to me it was easily Kith. They had a super strong year. All of their pairs with Adidas, with Asics, they did several others as well. It is amazing just how consistent they are. But for me, the best collab that they did this year, and also coming in at number 8 on this list, is the Kith, Asics, and Marvel collab on the Super Villains pack. And this is coming from someone who's not even really into comic books that much. But when I saw these shoes, I was like, wow, this entire pack looks amazing. Those Venom GT 2160s, I mean, sheesh, like that's one of the nicest Asics pairs period that has dropped this year. The Spider-Man pair 2, super fire. Green Goblin went hard as well. Even the Silver Surfers, like man, unbelievably good pack. The customized insoles in them too. My issue in the past with a lot lot of these comic book themed shoes is that they were always, you know, cool collectible pieces, but I would never want to wear one of them. But not the case with this pack at all. This entire set looked amazing. I would wear all of them. Kith just killed it. At number 4, I got the Jordan 4 RM with Nigel Sylvester. These were another pair that I thought were just very slept on, didn't go for much on the resale market, but I thought these were great. It was a really good attempt, in my opinion, by Jordan Brand at giving us a Jordan 4 low, and I actually really liked the model quite a lot, and the 2 Nigel colorways were just really nice as well. It's a model that fits great, and it's really comfy actually for a Jordan model. The quality also on both of these Nigel pairs was really good. They used really nice suede on there, way better than what you see on the GR Jordan 4 RMs. And it was also the storytelling about this pair. It was based on Nigel's memories at his grandma's house. The gray colorway represented the driveway, and the green one actually represented the fence in her backyard. And Nigel's actual grandma was also featured in the marketing material of this shoe. Just really well done, really great collab by Jordan Brand. Moving on to number 6. Now, it seems like there's been a ton of videos and think pieces talking about the downfall of Nike, but there hasn't been enough talk about one of the biggest reasons for that, which is the rise of some smaller sneaker brands such as Hoka and On. And at number 6, I have the collab between On and Post Archive Faction on the Cloud Monster 2 and also the Cloud Adventure. Swiss brand On has always had a decent following among the running community, but we saw this year they crossed over into lifestyle buyers as well and people looking for more comfortable shoes. And this particular collab I thought was just exceptional. As someone who is a pretty big fan of Post Archive Faction, they definitely made a perfect Post Archive Faction shoe here, which is a mainly monotone look with interesting details like that panel that overlays the upper. Both the Cloud Monster 2 and the Cloud Adventure, you couldn't go wrong with either one. I thought the entire collab was sick. Moving on to number 5, we're already in the top 5. Now, earlier on in the video, I talked about how it was a great year for general release New Balances, and for me, the absolute best general release New Balance we got this year was the 990 V4 Arctic Gray. You could have told me these were a Jound collab, and I'd believe you. It was a colorway that I thought looked better than most New Balance collabs, and it seemed like everyone agreed because it was one of the hardest general releases to actually buy this year. They sold out very quickly. That blue and black combination just looked absolutely perfect on that pair. At number 4, I have the Kids of Immigrants collab on the Air Max Sunders. Not only do I really like the look of these shoes, especially that orange one is just fire. I just love the story and the marketing of this shoe. Being a child of an immigrant myself, those first few years were very challenging moving to a new country. The lines you see on the shoe represent latitudes and longitudes, which were pretty cool. And I also think that this is how you properly do a collab. You don't just throw a different colorway on there. You completely reinvent the shoe. Like, this shoe looks nothing like a regular Air Max Sunder. There should be a wider release soon, so I hope I can get a pair. At number 3, I absolutely needed to include the AE1 on this list. This shoe could easily be number 1. Every single thing about this shoe, the look of it, the perfect marketing campaigns, which are a throwback to the 90s. What a breath of fresh air it was for basketball shoes in an age where everyone complains that basketball shoes all look the same. Nike, please take notes. Every colorway seemed to sell out pretty quick. The one that stood out to me really was that all-star pair. Another reason that made these shoes great was that it's super accessible. You can literally walk into a Foot Locker and buy potentially the shoe of the year. When was the last time we've said that? Adidas was under a lot of pressure after losing Yeezy brand, but they've proven that they'll be just fine. They have a huge hit on their hands with the AE1. At number 2, for me, one of the best Asics sneakers of the year, and simply one of the best sneakers period, was the Asics Gel NYC collab with Hidden New York. This is a shoe that I can confidently say has gotten me more compliments than any other shoe I've worn this year. These really pop on feet. The shoe was meant to pay homage to graphic designers with its very Adobe Illustrator inspired details like the pixelated Asics logo and the hidden logo, which is surrounded by that sizing box. Also the model, the Gel NYC, the perfect model choice for Hidden New York with that New York City connection. And it's also probably one of my most worn sneakers this year. They're just that comfortable and they look amazing. So definitely this had to be very high on my list. Now, before we get into number 1, I have to say I actually have 2 shoes because one of them might not even qualify as a sneaker. So that would mean that it doesn't belong on this list. But for me, if you were to ask me what's my favorite shoe of the year overall, I would say It was the New Balance 1906 collab with Junya Watanabe. I personally love when fashion and sneakers come together, and this is just a perfect example of that. We saw especially younger consumers this year move away from sneakers into other types of footwear, and New Balance was just not fazed by that. They came out with this hybrid loafer sneaker, and I thought that the execution on this pair was just perfection. It looks like a loafer, but it's got that super comfortable outsole that you get on the 1906, and there's just so many components here of the 1906 included on the shoe that it doesn't feel like two different shoes combined together. It feels like one very cohesive shoe, and this leather Junya Watanabe version for me was definitely the best. But a lot of you guys will say that it's not really a sneaker, it's more of a loafer, and I actually agree. So my sneaker of the year is the Comme des Garçons Foamposite Paris Olympics. Yes, I know it's a bit of a niche sneaker. You probably won't see it on many people's list, but it is my list, and I absolutely love this shoe. The original Comme des Garçons pairs, the white and the black, were always grails for me, and I always regretted not getting them. But in hindsight, I'm actually kind of happy that I waited for this one, because this colorway, this combination, the way they melted the black and the white together to give you this marbled finish, it looks even better. And for me, this was the best colorway they did on this shoe. And surprisingly, the retail price this time was not $500, it was $280. Yes, when have we ever seen deflation in the sneaker game? Pretty much every time I wear this sneaker, I keep looking down at my feet every minute or so because I just can't stop looking at them. These look amazing, and for me, my sneaker of the year. But I want to hear from you guys as usual. Let me know in the comments what was your favorite pair that dropped this year, or maybe just give me a top 5. I'd love to see it. And as always, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for rocking with me for yet another year and for supporting my channel. I won't be stopping any sneaker content in 2025. Expect the same from me. Thank you once again. I will catch you in the next video. Peace.